In the early 1980s, we had about 300,000 bankruptcies in the United States. Last year, annually.
Yeah.
Last year, we had about 1.6 million families who filed for bankruptcy.
So that's about a 500% increase.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what you want to note about these families is that they are in terrible financial trouble at the time they file for bankruptcy. On average, the family who filed for bankruptcy owed more than a year's worth of income in credit cards and other short-term high-interest debt.
Could that be $40,000 or $50,000 a year?
Well, the average family filing for bankruptcy has a little lower income
Okay.
at the time they file for bankruptcy,
Okay.
more in the range of about $30,000 a year.
Still pretty hefty. Okay, go ahead.
But the point is, for most of these families who file, they really have no option. If they don't file for bankruptcy, the interest rate is running so that if they don't charge another thing, if they don't incur another debt, they nonetheless next month will owe more than they owe this month. The month
Yeah.
after that they'll owe more, and the month after that they'll owe
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
For most of the families who file for bankruptcy, it really is just a declaration of financial death.
Yeah.
They can't go on any longer, and
Yeah.
that's how they end up in
Yeah.
bankruptcy.
A little quick calculation here tells me that I think that the population of the United States has increased from roughly 240 million to roughly 300 million since 1980.
Mm-hmm.
So the population has gone up 25%. The number of families in bankruptcy has gone up 500%, and that is 20 to 1.
That's right. Or another way to say it is that the rate of filing per thousand in the population has just about quadrupled
Yeah.
in a little over 20 years in
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, we should add to this. It's important to know the bankruptcy numbers, but the bankruptcy numbers are not alone. The bankruptcy numbers are just one signal for the kind of trouble that American families are in. Let's take a look at home mortgage foreclosure rates. These are people
Yeah.
who have passed the most vigorous credit screen that we have for consumers in the United States. And what's happened to home mortgage foreclosures over the last 25 years? They're up 3.5-fold.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's remarkable, particularly because interest rates are low today and housing
Yeah.
prices are strong, so that
Yeah.
when you get into financial trouble, if you're a homeowner, many people can just back out of it and
Yeah.
sell the house
Yeah.
to someone
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
unless it's too loaded down
Yeah.
with debt.
Well, we'll come back to that because one of your many significant points is that even if it is currently one of the most significant credit checks that you can pass through the United States, it's not much of a credit check
No, it's
anymore. You make the point early on in your book that bankruptcy is, I guess it's fair to say, predominantly, or at least largely, a middle-class phenomenon. I'd like you to elaborate on that and tell us if you have any statistics showing that.
Sure. You know, most people define the middle class by income. And by income, I will be the first to confess, a large proportion of the families in bankruptcy look like they're poor or at the ragged edge of the working class, middle class. But income alone doesn't really define class. You know, if a fourth grade teacher lost her job and was out of work for a year, would you describe her as not middle class any longer? If a bank president lost his job, would you describe him as not middle class any longer? If we look at the enduring criteria, education, occupation, having bought a home, it turns out that the population in bankruptcy is disproportionately middle class. So if we take anyone who went to college, that's some indication of being middle class, anyone who has an occupation in the upper 80% of occupations in the United States, that is cutting out day laborers and housemaids and the lower status jobs, or anyone who actually went out and bought a home as middle class, our population in bankruptcy is more than 90% middle class. In other words, when we look at the families who are filing for bankruptcy, it's not the very poorest, and of course it's not the very richest. We underrepresent brain surgeons and college professors, but we also underrepresent day laborers and shop clerks. Bankruptcy is about the middle class and the kind of financial trouble that the middle class faces.
Yeah.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.